Your event is starting and we're live. Oh my god, we're live. There. Whoa. We're out of focus. How do we get out of focus?
Which camera?
That one must have.
What did you do?
No, we're see, right here we're in focus, but right here we're not. It needs to be.
Okay, it's just a smidge soft, but it's not. All right, go fix it.
It must be fixed. Wendell, turn the
I like that.
Turn to the thing on the thing. That's Kentucky language. Turn the thing.
No.
Oh, no.
Remember Kentucky? Kentucky language.
This is earthquakes.
Is what was it? Our conversation earlier.
What was it? I don't remember.
Learned.
Oh yeah, learned.
Learned.
I'll tell you when it's good. Right there. Oh, back. Other way. A little bit more. A little bit more. Oh, it's looking good. A little bit more. Right there, it's crystal clear. And it needs to go back toward JJ again. Yeah, there we go. Oh my god! It seems like it's a little cockeyed, but
Oh, it is a little crooked. It's not. Yeah.
who did this?
Something's off.
Yeah, we've bumped the thing. All right, everybody, we're gonna talk to people on the internet now. So.
Are we?
Yeah, it wasn't.
Are we going to?
It wasn't facing. It wasn't facing down before. What happened with that? I think.
Oh, it's getting straighter.
There we go. That's better. I can live with that. Yeah. You got the Kraken up there in the foreground, just hanging out. Nobody knows what it is. All right, I'm gonna open this up so we can actually talk to people.
That's not going to confuse it.
Nah.
The Kraken is attached to things we can't talk about.
Oh,
okay, everybody.
Yeah, okay.
Glorious 720p.
Well, we can move it back a little bit.
It's fine.
There we go.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I like the Kraken over there. Okay, everybody. How does everything sound? Can you guys hear us all right? Everything sound okay?
Hello. Hi. Hi, everybody.
There's Wendell over here.
What's up?
All right, we got some questions here. We got JJ in the house. This is the official intro now that we've messed around. This is the way live streams work. That's why we don't do them that often, because they always start with, what? Oh no, my head's on fire. So,
Have
yeah.
you seen that? Did you see that one?
What is that?
We worked on it.
That is pretty slick looking.
Yeah. Well, I just, it's just to prove a point that some people were saying, like they think gold can't look good or whatever. But anyways.
Okay, then before we get started, we are not going to talk about anything that has not been released yet. There are some products that are going to be released in the very near future, and we cannot talk about those, so I am sorry. You sure we can't talk about them?
100%.
I don't know anything about these new products.
Yeah, I don't. We just have to wait and see what happens,
Yep.
But I'm sure Tech Syndicate is going to be bringing you guys some awesome content later, so definitely keep tuned right to the channel, right?
There we go. Put it there. I think I'm louder. All right, so go ahead, guys. Fire away with questions. We got some questions here on the forum that we're going to open up, so I'll go ahead and open up the forum so we can do that.
Hello, everybody.
Wendell, what do you got going over there? You got any questions or anything?
I'm going to post to Twitter because that's sort of a new thing that I'm doing.
Oh yeah, I should tweet this, right?
Yeah.
I believe I'll tweet this. You guys can watch me tweet this right now. How do I Twitter?
I don't really know how to Twitter.
No, you're good there. Yeah.
What was your Twitter name again?
ASUS Tech Marketing, but it's MKT. Yeah, JJ. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're good. If not, I've got some questions here, but we can wait to see what pops up in the live stream. I guess we should also let people know, about the thread too.
Righto.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So we are going to be giving away. Can I say it? If it's already on the thing.
It's in there.
Guys,
Okay.
we're going to be giving away an X99 Deluxe motherboard. The thing is ridiculous. It's the new thing we're not going to talk about otherwise, other than just giving it away.
It exists.
It exists.
In a
That's all we can
shape or
say.
form.
Yep. And we'll give you a link right now. It's on our website right now. If you go over there, there's 379 posts, and there are a few questions that you have to answer. I'll go ahead and post it right here.
What did you do?
I've tried to post it in the chat, and it's like, "We're sorry, your comment cannot contain links."
You post it.
I own the damn
Tell
channel.
them it's in the description. You can post the link in the description.
Yeah, I'll put it in the description.
Yeah.
Right now.
Thanks, Google.
All right, guys. If you refresh the page, the link is in the description, so you can win the the contest. Where is Linus? Canada.
Yes.
He's in Canada.
And the Great White North.
Yes. Well, it's actually not even that cold up there, is it?
No, apparently not.
I've heard it's actually really hot.
Oh, Lord. Those of you that got that are laughing really hard right now. Those of you that don't, I don't know what to tell you to Google, but I really wish I could tell you something to Google, because you'd laugh.
Google, Titans are really hot when run all day from rendering. All right. Come on, give us some. Guys, we can't answer that question about the X99. Come on.
Okay, so who's gonna track that? Because I'm not watching the live stream right now.
I'm watching the live stream. You got some questions over here.
All right, so you'll watch the. I just trying to get the formatting down here. So you'll watch the live stream, and I guess I'll filter through on the questions that pop up on the on the forum post.
Let's see, we got some of them here. I can probably open up. Let's see what we have here on the website. So
I got some picked out here.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
From the from that thread.
Yeah, from that thread. Oh no, that's the other one, right?
Yeah, that's the other.
Oh yeah, that's the other one. Okay, yeah, totally. Yeah.
Here I got one for you. Do you have any interest in PC modding? That's the first question from Lieutenant Norris.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I've been building for I think a pretty long time now, and I like the creativity that people bring to modding, and I like working with people from it. But I think for me personally, I think what I really like the polished of finished functions, right? But there is something really cool in terms of the modding element, in terms of that sometimes the things that you want most aren't necessarily realistic, right? So you want a certain layout, or you want a certain look, or you want a certain feel, and it's something that's probably not going to happen. And I think because of that part of me, I know in other things I would definitely do if I had the time, but literally just from a time constraint, I don't have the ability to sit and mod things. Back earlier, I used to, like when I did private consultation and stuff like that, right. I did actually do a bit of modding my chassis. Like I wanted the layout to look a little bit different. I wanted to be able to mount things differently, or I wanted to be able to have fans. But, God, chassis and stuff it's been crazy how much they've improved like in 5 years. That it's not as much modding is required. I think now modding is maybe more of a really creative pursuit.
Right.
What I mean?
You're creating like some art or something like that. Or
like thematic. It's very specific to kind of like a creative focus that you want, where I think, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years ago when you were modding a system, sometimes it was like pure functionality. It's like, how come nobody's putting fan on top of a chassis? And so like you were cutting a hole. Yeah, you were cutting a hole, literally just put a fan on the top of your chassis. So I think it's progressed a large amount, so where a lot of the modding that you used to have to do, you don't have to do anymore. Yeah.
The next question, I want when you think about this while I ask Wendell something, but what was your favorite mod that showcased the ROG brand? So I'll let you think of that, then send me a link. But next I want to ask Wendell, what was the first case mod that you did? I know you built a lot of PCs that didn't have cases before you were. I remember we were building stuff on plywood. But what was your first case mod for functionality or for style? I don't know about any other reasons. I guess functionality, style.
This is really hard because this is like, I think that it's probably the first time when I was maybe 11 or 12.
You gotta love that, right?
Well, I think the very first one, I've got a really good one that I did that I'm still really proud of. But the very first
Give us that one and then the good one.
Oh, okay.
The first one and then the good one.
The very first one. Okay, so it's an IBM XT, but it was an IBM XT clone, and so it was the same shape and plastic as like an IBM XT. And if you don't know what that looks like, Google it because it's very 80s. It's very IBM. So think like 75-pound chassis with a big giant red rocker switch in the back, and that thing running a 486 motherboard. But it was an aftermarket like IBM clone, but they'd cloned the case, and there were two big silver push buttons in the back. And when you would push those, the whole top would pop up like a hot rod. And so it was an IBM XT case, and it had the two full height 5 1/4 inch bays in the front. And the case was modified so that you hit the two buttons in the back, and the whole thing would pop up like a hot rod. And it had a hinge, and it had like little divots to prevent it from opening too far. And that had a 486 in it, and it had some extra fans and some stuff like that. But it was basically an IBM PC XT.
And then what was the one you're really proud of?
There was a thing that was briefly before the internet a thing, and it was like a computer show as like a generic term. Like it was just, there would be a convention center and it would be a mecca of vendors, and they would all come and bring all their stuff and sell everything. And that's where I discovered the, you know, $10 Realtek 100 megabit Ethernet adapter in the age of 10 megabit adapters, and it was like, oh my god, this is amazing, because they can get a 100 meg adapter for $9. There was a company that was importing very inexpensive cases from Asia, and it was around the era of like the Blueberry Max, and it was like a mid-tower ATX case that was made out of plastic, and it had sort of a translucent blue accent. I did that, and I put a rope light in it so that it would light up, and the sides of it was like a translucent blue plastic. And so I put the plastic was offset like the regular ATX metal case, and so there was just blue rope light inside the case, and it was like, look what I did, I'm 12, this is amazing. It wasn't amazing. It was dumb.
But it was like that's like the epic first PC story. Like, this was my first PC. I put some lights in my first PC too.
Oh my gosh! I've never told you guys. Have I ever told you mine?
What, your first PC? Like, did you
that's
deck it out with all kinds of lights and all that stuff? Was it like a lowrider, or was it like?
Oh no, gosh, not even remotely close. Not even remotely close. You know, that's such a hard question when you would talk to me. Oh, are we?
We're live, right?
Oh yeah. No. I didn't know if Wendell was finished.
No.
Okay. Like on ROG mod, that's a really tough one because I've had the opportunity to work with some really, really amazing guys, and just some of the stuff that I see our ROG users produce, I mean, it's insane. It blows me away. Like, these guys make stuff that it's literally, it's amazing to me. But some of the stuff that Murderbox PC has done with our platforms, like if you guys go check out like the Murderbox MK2, I think just he took one of my all-time favorite chassis, which was the TJ07, and just customized this thing to the nth degree. But the thing is, I had the actual opportunity to work with him on some co-projects for the launch of our platform. So that you're looking at the MK2 Gold. So that's what we did for Z97, right. Which I think totally anybody that tells me that you can't make a gold system look amazing, I just look at that and I just go, it feels like, like a Midas, when I'm looking at this. It's insane.
I thought the Z97 looked a lot better than the Z87, but I usually don't make comments when it comes to aesthetics because I want everyone to make their own decisions, but I do have my own aesthetic.
Yeah. But he did actually one, which was the original Murderbox 2, the MK2, which was based...
It's gray, right?
Yeah, it's black. Yeah, exactly. So that one's actually built off an RG board. He's got a couple of different ones, but I think that's, really just amazing looking system. I think just the cleanliness and the style. And he was doing stuff there with the tubing. This is now starting to become the new trend, right? Is bent tubing. But I think that's been amazing stuff. We've done stuff with Peter Tan. Peter Tan is a crazy, crazy, crazy modder too. I don't know. Well, there's probably just too many. I've seen a lot of really awesome stuff, and sometimes just some of the users, what they do, even when they don't have like a lot of money, and even if the cable management's not that great, I think just finding it about the kind of the time and effort people put into their own builds, I find that really enjoyable. Just when somebody says, "Hey, I've tried stuff like that, and and this is what I think looks awesome." You know what I mean? So
and this one right here. Did you see the Tech Syndicate case mod that V1 Tech did for us? Let me see if I can find it in here. These guys did some crazy stuff. Where is the Tech Syndicate case mod? It's in here somewhere, but yeah. These guys make such clean stuff, and they, of course, they do all the, bended tubes and everything. Where is that case mod? I don't know. It's in here somewhere. You guys can go back and watch it, but yeah, there's a pretty epic.
Of course, this one's also one of the most famous ones, which I think is awesome. A lot of people have seen this one, which is the
Elder Scrolls.
This one, have you seen this one? The ROG wall mod.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's an RG board. It's like I said. That's why I said I've never seen a more die-hard set of DIY users than our RG community. I mean, they're hardcore. They're just awesome. The way that they've taken, their passion and their interest in DIY and what they're looking.
There it is.
And what they want.
It's crazy looking.
Yeah, and what they want, kind of like the hardware look. It's just awesome. It's just crazy, crazy stuff.
Yeah, I really like that one too. All right, let's see what else we have. I've got a couple questions here that popped up in the chat that I didn't want to leave alone. Will there ever be an all-white motherboard for the Z97 chipset?
I can't go too much into it. All I can tell you guys is, I'm sure a lot of you guys, if you guys checked out Computex, you probably saw something on the Sbraco with the saber tooth. All I can tell you is you never know what might happen. Yeah. So we'll see. So what determines the color you guys use each year? That's actually a really good question. I think we talked about that actually a little bit last time when we talked about when we introduced gold for the Z97 series. So We actually go through a lot of consideration when we talk about kind of the color theme that we want to go through. Part of it is that we try to kind of look at putting something that's, I think, represents, it might seem kind of like far stretching, but kind of represents an aesthetic physical characteristic that we want the board to feel. So like blue, which we had for a long time, I think for us kind of had a really bold and fresh and kind of clean look to it, but also happened to be our company color, which is blue. But when we transitioned like to gold, for instance, it was really because we wanted to do something that was entirely different. And also, you know, there's a lot of different art agencies, and there's a lot of different like creative directions that come out every year that say, hey, these are the new color trends. And if actually you look at when we did it, you saw a lot of other vendors producing gold, and you see that now like in cell phones, you see it in notebooks, you see it in a lot of other products. So it's not that I think actually the choice was correct in terms of seeing a lot of creative design houses look at that as a new color choice. But for us, it was also from the perspective we said, hey, we wanted to try it because we felt that we were kind of that gold standard in motherboard design. And so we want to implement that. But we try to look at that every single year and, you know, see, definitely, trust me, I pay attention really, 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 really to a high degree on what you guys in the community tell us in terms of that. And we take that back and we recycle that every year, and we make tweaks and tunes to it. Just like ROG, right? Last year, we took away the white accents because a lot of users said, you know, we'd love to see it be tweaked a little bit more and refreshed. And I think we did an awesome job with that. But it's been interesting because, of course, a lot of competitors have phased in similar color aesthetics, you know, so.
And then you guys we'll change it, and then they'll be like, next year, we'll change it up again.
Yeah, you know, so, but we definitely, there's a lot of things that go into it. Community feedback, internal and creative design, I think some aspirational kind of perceptions that we want to have to the board. There's a lot of different dynamics that go into it.
This is a question for me. I'll answer very quickly. From M. King, Logan, what is your favorite band, and why is it Slayer? I'm actually not a Slayer fan. I just now
a little bit too fast for you, a little bit too heavy.
Yeah, no, I like heavier.
Oh, like heavier. Okay.
Yeah, Slayer's a little bit like drinking water after having one of these. You know, if I'm going to listen to thrash metal, I'm going to listen to Vector, but I don't really fancy thrash metal all that much. Like the more intricate stuff, but thrash metal can be
a little bit more technical.
Yeah,
but that also kind of rolls a little bit into the eras too, right? You know, it's like sometimes that heavier stuff is not necessarily going to have coincided at that earlier stage because it's progressed, right?
Right.
It's like you can't say, I mean, you know, without Slayer, right, you wouldn't have certain groups, right?
Could be true, yeah.
You know, so
I mean, it's a lot of the music that I listen to, even the metal,
yeah,
comes from more of like Celtic and classical than it does from rock and roll.
Yeah.
You know, I always felt like country and rock and roll are kind of in the same genre, but like bluegrass and Celtic are in the same genre, and people confuse that because I like stuff that's intricate. So I like those things. I like Celtic and country. I mean, not country. I hate country. But you know, I like things that have lots of intricacies and lots of
the complexity to the music.
Lots of things going on in the background.
You want some true kind of
layers.
Yeah, I can appreciate that.
I can definitely. If someone puts on Slayer, I'll get in the car and we'll hang out or whatever. But that's fine.
Yeah.
But I would never listen to it on my own.
Yeah, I get you.
He probably hates me now. Do I listen to Guar? Pistol listens to Guar all day, so I listen to. I get secondhand Guar a lot. All right. Let's see here. How about gray motherboards?
Gray? Well, we did the... actually, you might bring a picture. I don't know if you saw it, but we did... a lot of you guys might not know, we did like this exclusive channel SKU for some retailers. It was called the Z97AR. It's kind of like actually like a silver and cobalt looking motherboard. It's really interesting. But it's actually like... It's like silver. It's
your silver gray motherboard.
Yeah, it's
still got the black PCB, but
So I'd say that's fairly close to that. I mean, the thing you have to remember, guys, is that you can purely kind of unique one-off colors are exceedingly difficult because the volume that you would have to produce the board at, right, for it to be cost effective is really difficult. So I think our trend has been is that what we're looking at is more going for kind of a darker monochromatic color tones on the base, so the PCB, and then like the slots, so what you see like right now with like the slots being black or like dark gray, the PCB board being black, and then playing around with accent colors on the heatsink assemblies, whether they're going to be, you know, red, black, gray, you know, gold, blue, whatever they might be. So we're going to continue, I think, on in that direction, but we're going to continue to try to look at more options for flexibility at the color choices that individuals are looking for.
All right.
Somebody spotted the mouse.
What mouse?
Oh, did they?
Say no more. Say no more.
So Mr. Snoot here, he's asked G551 like 5 times. He just keeps asking. I don't know what your question is about it. I mean, it's going to come out eventually, right? I mean, Is it out already? The G551?
Yeah.
And then he asks, GX 500. Do you need a laptop or something? Those are laptops, right?
No, actually, GX 500 should not be. Yeah, so that's can't comment on our other business groups. Yeah, that's one thing actually. I think it's a good thing. I'll show you what actually they're looking for is this guy right here. But we've just released actually quite a number of brand new thin inspired ROG based notebooks.
The uber thin notebooks.
Yeah, so it's very similar to kind of like the ones you took over on Highlander, right? It's very different than our previous kind of like G70 series, right? Which was much bigger, right?
Right.
Really designed with big thermal cooling designs and things like that.
Yeah, they were as big as they needed to be to have the components that they had.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly
no
exactly. That's the perfect way to look at it. So we're definitely going to continue down that pipeline, and with the SBG division though, it's two different groups. So ASUS has what's called a system business group, and then it has an open platform business group. So I work in the open platform business group, but I try to kind of keep pace with a lot of the system business group because there's a lot of interesting stuff that they do there. But the timetables, as far as how they roll stuff out, it's very, very different than on the other side of the fence. So it can be tricky.
I got a question just a minute ago that went by, but I think it's something that's maybe you can answer. Is there ever going to be an ITX-sized tough motherboard?
I won't say no to it. I definitely say that it's not off the table, but I think that anytime we try to expand upon the board segmentation and expand on the boards within a certain segmentation, we take it very, very seriously. Because like a lot of you guys, I'm sure you guys tell me right now, how many boards do you feel like get produced out there, and how many do you feel that you have a good understanding of as far as which boards to pick? Right? I think there's a lot of complexity and there's a lot of decision making that people already find it difficult, and to add another one into it, it can be really hard to balance that. So I think from that perspective, right now we don't have any immediate plans to do it. I wouldn't say that it's off the table. Just like we didn't have a micro ATX SKU for a really long time, and then we came out with the Griffin, and so far the response has been pretty solid. But as to whether or not we'll create a mini ITX, possibly. But I think the other big part to that is, can we make the feature set strong enough for it to really stand as being a tough board, right? Because that's the cool thing. I think you kind of have seen, and hopefully you guys see that within the products that we develop, we try to really make sure that if it's a tough board, or if it's like WS, or if it's like ROG, that there's a feature set that really makes sense, and it's not just a board with just a different set of colors. You know what I mean?
Somebody asking what happened to the Maximus 7 Ranger.
So the Maximus 7 Ranger is actually a global SKU. It hasn't yet been introduced into the North American market, but I think that we will eventually be bringing it into the North American market. So I would just say keep tuned to the PC DIY website. The moment that I find out that we'll have retail availability for e-tail and for physical brick and mortar stores, I'll be definitely posting it there. But as of right now, there's not a confirmed ETA, but it is a globally available SKU. If you guys are outside the U.S., it is already available. Whereas right now in the U.S., the current SKUs are going to be like the Hero, the Gene, the Impact, which is just coming out, the Formula.
So if you want the Formula, if you want the Ranger, you just got to move. Simple as that, just move. Or you can order it from overseas.
Or if there's a lot of you that really, really want it, and it's an awesome board. I've had the chance to work with it. I think it's an awesome board for the price point. Hit us up. Drop me comments at pcdiy.asus.com. Drop us comments at the Twitter, and let us know you want to see that board.
All right, so Alejandro has asked about 40 times, and it keeps coming back in the comments because other people respond to him.
Yeah,
he's dying for an ITX AM3, and other people keep saying it'll never happen. But you guys already did this.
I think this is the
it comes up every time.
This is the proverbial live stream tech syndicate.
Everybody wants that.
This is a question that every single time we have to answer. So we'll answer it in the same way every time. One, you can go look it up. We had the M4A88 T-I. So that was actually a mini ITX AM-based motherboard. And it took us actually a huge amount of design work to make the board. There you go. You're pulling it up right now.
Yeah, show them a picture of this thing.
And it was really complex to do, but overall the run rate, so that actually the sell-through rate, was fairly minimal. Now we could definitely do a new one. This, at the time that it was released, I still think it was groundbreaking. Nobody else was really.
You got SODIMMs on there?
Yeah, because there's actually a lot of complexity with the AMD socket. Now we could probably make it happen in terms of making it do, but even at that time, you could get 2133 SODIMMs. So it's not like you were really compromised. Even right now, you can get 4 gig, you can get 8 gig DIMMs. So it's not like you were really limited, but we did entirely have a solution, and there just wasn't enough realistic demand. So at this point, I'm not going to say never. If we get enough continual feedback of people that really say they're going to commit to it, I'm not going to say we're not going to do it. But if you talk about time frame,
damn it, they're saying that the guy that asked the question is like,
yeah.
damn it, Alejandro. There, go ahead.
But in regards to time frame, I mean, for a mini ITX board alone, it's usually about like 4 to 6 months to produce a board, so it's a huge amount of time investment for us. And so of course we would be looking to actually make sure that we have enough traction on sales to be able to justify that amount of research and development, and design for a board. Because also, right, this is the key thing, you guys want a board, but you guys don't want a bad board, right? You guys actually want a board that's going to be stable,
right?
It's going to rock, it's going to overclock, it's going to be beastly, right? And we want to be able to make sure to give you that board because the FX platform takes a lot of power, it's got a lot of thermals, and we would want to design it the right way so that you get a really great experience. I'm not going to call out other competitors, but I'm sure if you guys go, use a search engine as your friend and you check out some other competing vendors, which may have begun with the letter A, you could have seen some of their mini ITX solutions, even on the APU side, that had some VRM issues that caused, let's say, some thermal issues. So tight, compact designs with high TDP are very complicated. But if I get enough feedback, trust me, I will push our team to look at solutions like that.
Somebody wants you to say swag.
This is what... Oh, no.
Not doing it. Not happening.
This is what Kickstarter was built for. It's like, you guys that want this, all right, we'll fund it on Kickstarter, and when we've got the $2.5 million that we need for the R&D, we'll do the board.
That'd be great. It'd be easy. You'll get it in the mail. It'll be made out of Scotch tape and then solder.
I believe that's the very polite way of saying put up or shut up.
But no, definitely. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna say it right now. I'm gonna say it on Tech Syndicate. I will put up a poll page specifically on the PC DIY website for AM3 Mini ITX.
There's a refresh of a few CPUs coming out. Some new
there are
9000 series CPUs.
Exactly, and I mean it's still a solid platform. So if you guys really want it, I'm gonna put that page up, share it out. If anybody wants that board, go there. Drop the confirmation, and we'll keep looking at it, and we'll see how it stacks up over some time.
Everyone keeps also asking about 10 gig Ethernet ports.
Yes, yeah.
So I may as well address it because it's been asked 50 times.
Yeah,
10 gig Ethernet ports.
We've got these things.
I'll take
called
one. Why not?
PCI Express expansion slots, and
so yeah, a lot of people are asking about how come they already haven't seen it on a motherboard, and it really just comes down to pure cost. Right now, if you take a look at the retail cost of a 10 gig Ethernet card, it's going to probably cost you, on average, in the vicinity, I mean, if you could lowball it, maybe $275. But generally, it's going to be closer to about $350, if not more than that.
Right here, he says, the Red Avenger says, if it is too expensive, please annoy the company to lower the price.
Right.
So ASUS should annoy the company.
And it's not a question sometimes that you can annoy, right? Sometimes it's about yield and it's about quantity. If you can't get it in a sufficient quantity, or there's too little vendors that are producing that specific controller, the cost is still artificially high. So until more vendors actually produced it, then the cost won't come down. And these are kind of one of these things that it's based on market demand, right? If there's not actually that many people that need it outside of business, which is okay paying that higher cost, it may never come to market. We are looking at it as an option, probably more in the workstation space, maybe for later generations, but definitely for like the mainstream series boards, I think it's a very long way off. If you consider that right now Thunderbolt controllers themselves are too expensive to generally physically put on most motherboards, this is significantly more expensive than even Thunderbolt. We're talking exponentially more expensive. So if you consider those factors, that's part of the reason why you're not seeing it on there.
Speaking of Thunderbolt, you just reminded me of bandwidth. Someone was asking about a question that has to do with bandwidth. Will we ever see 4K 120 hertz? And that would pretty much eat up 100% of the bandwidth of DisplayPort. You wouldn't be able to daisy chain or anything, right?
Not necessarily. It's technically possible. Actually, the bigger issue really comes down to panel technology, display chain technology. The higher that you drive refresh rates, you can significantly impact the quality of the panel. So like, I'll give you an example. We've had users in the enthusiast community take like our VG series monitors that are like 120, 144 and break like 240 hertz, like crazy refresh rates. The problem though is then it super significantly compromises color quality. It'll significantly reduce the overall brightness of the panel. You get artifacting. So the thing is, could you possibly do it? Yes. but could we maintain the actual quality of what you would want it to look like? And that's the problem. We're still quite some time away. That's the reason why, like the Swift monitor,
Right.
we had to do 2560 with a customized TN panel so that we could also get the 144, we could get the 1 millisecond, we could get all those key specs. It's just literally panel technology limitations, scalar limitations, display chain limitations. And I definitely tell you, we're looking at this literally month to month. We're working with as many partners as we can. So once technology becomes available, if we can push it, if we can slightly tweak it, if we can slightly tune it, then we're going to do our best to bring it out. Yeah.
Cool. Do you see any more questions, Wendell, or anything?
No, somebody said 21 by 9 for the win. Attempted to run over and grab the panel and just huck it in front of the cameras and go, ah!
Yeah, that 24 by 9 is nice.
21 by 9.
I mean, 24 by 9. That would be even
Well,
crazier.
we've
You guys
got
have a 21?
20
Do you have
yeah.
a 21 by 9?
Yeah,
24.
yeah, we got a whole bunch. They're under the MX line.
That's
yeah,
right.
we've
You have
got
the
them
2560
both-
by.
Yeah, we have them both 1080p and 2560. I've got a couple here that I saw. So this was from the secondary thread post.
What
so
page
from
we got
the
on there?
these were all from the first page.
First page. All right. What do you
These
got?
were all from the first page. So the first one is from. Do I need to say usernames?
No, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's Lani100. So one is, I hate that I don't have regular PCI slots on modern motherboards, and then I would really like to see 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi on motherboards and more RAM slots.
He wants past proof. He wants to be past proof, not future proof.
So the really hard thing actually about PCI is if you look at the chipset that's produced now by Intel, PCI is no longer part of even the chipset spec.
Right, you'd have to like add that on.
Yeah,
yourself.
we actually have to physically add on a PCI controller to the motherboard to give you a PCI slot.
And does that use up one of the PCI Express lanes? Because, because you're actually using the bus.
It's weird, right? You're actually
Yeah.
using PCI Express to map to PCI. So it's
just a 1X though. I mean,
yeah, it's not a huge deal, and that's why like we tend to usually include PCI on more the entry level solutions. You know, so usually on the boards that are about like 180 and below,
Yeah.
we'll usually try to put at least maybe one PCI slot. But even now we're trending away from that just because it doesn't make sense. Most people that are right now buying platforms for the long term, they'd rather have the support for future-based devices.
we get like an AGP on the bottom of.
So, you know, what I tell people if they really, you know, need that, I mean, most of the devices that you have from that era are probably now at a better quality, either being integrated directly on the motherboard or they're fairly low cost to replace.
I guess there are some esoteric items that may only be PCI that are just irreplaceable.
Yeah, no, and that's the case. I mean, we still do release boards with it, but they might not be at the performance segmentation, right? They might be like in that B series chipset
Yeah.
or like in the H series chipset or something like that. As far as for 5 gigahertz, actually, we were the first vendor to put 5 gigahertz, and we've had it on quite a number of boards. We've had it actually for a couple of generations now, since even Z77. So, you know, I don't know if it's at the price point that you're buying boards at. You have to keep in mind that, of course, the cost of a wireless controller, as you go to dual band or you go to like 2x2 base stream or higher end specifications, it costs more money to put that wireless on there. But we have actually a wide range of boards. I mean, predominantly almost all the pro boards at this point always have at least dual band Wi-Fi, if not greater. So you definitely see that. As far as more RAM slots, that's a technical limitation. We can't actually put more RAM slots on a motherboard. There's no.
Just stick a few on there for good.
Yeah.
They don't have to do anything. Just stick them on there for looks.
So yeah, that's a limitation. That's based on the chipset. So depending on what chipset you're looking at, that's how many slots that we can put in.
Well, the thing that always blows my mind is, so we're talking about, you know, with I guess on the public stuff. Well, let's just say that it's not inconceivable that the next generation of RAM is going to hit 3 gigahertz and beyond, in a general sense. And when you're talking about speeds like 3 gigahertz, and you talk about like the speed of light as a fundamental limitation of physics, like the speed of light in a vacuum, not necessarily the speed of electricity through copper, which is slower, we're talking about the amount of time light can travel in one clock tick. We're talking about measuring that in inches, not feet or miles or anything like that. And the speed of light is just so insanely fast that when you start like stacking DIMMs up or putting them farther away, the physical limitations are the problem there. It is, you know, as Scotty says, you cannot change the laws of physics. So I don't know how you expect this to work. Server platforms have to use registered memory, which is a kind of buffering to deal with this situation, but it adds latency, and for gaming, you don't want that. So it's really tough to do that. I mean, you're probably thinking of like, you know, the old socket 8 Pentiums where you could get like the 30-pin SIM to 72-pin SIM adapter. Those days are over. That's never going to happen again because speed of electricity through copper, which is related to the speed of light through a vacuum. So just think about it in those terms and it won't be so depressing.
Okay, here's a question that just popped up from Final Forger. Are you guys looking forward to the new Unreal Tournament? And do you think that we will ever get back to the glory days of arena shooters like Doom and Quake?
You know, that's a good question. You know, I think it's really interesting. I think definitely PC gaming. I mean, some people feel in some ways it's a little bit static for some genres, but I think the diversity that exists right now in PC gaming is awesome. But, you know, going back to that question, I'm definitely excited to see it, you know, as just kind of a more just straight, pure, I guess arena shooter, if you want to call it that.
With all the hip firing.
Yeah, you know, and I think that's totally fun, but, you know, I mean, I don't get why you can't play it right now. So, I mean, you can go back and play that same game right now, so it's not like you're limited in that respect. But if you're looking for something that looks prettier, you know, and has maybe got a couple of new mechanics added into it, then for sure, I'm definitely excited from it. But as far as whether or not we'll return to something like that, I don't see that. And the main reason why is I think gamers expect more right now. I think that if you look at games inherently, the complexity, the storytelling narrative, level design, every single thing, even like on indie titles, they're taking more time to craft, I think, every single one of these things. Even if it's not like a AAA title and it's got massive textures and all that stuff, they're taking a look at, you know, game dynamic, character, you know, and all these kind of little things. So I think from that perspective, I don't think we're ever going to really get back to that. I think it's going to be that you might get elements of it, and I think if elements get incorporated and can be done really well, then they can be really fun. I think Titanfall is a good example of that, actually, you know, where it broke the mold in the way. It's you know, it's totally a shooter, but it's got some really cool dynamics that I think add a lot more fun aspects to it than a traditional, you know, kind of Call of Duty or Battlefield kind of vibe.
I guess I'm on the other side of it. I didn't really get into Titanfall that much. I tried it, and I tried it again. I tried it about 3 times, and I just could not get into the play style of it. The mechanics were too... they were too much. I don't know. I guess I'm an old school. This game I want to bring up right here. This game here is called Toxic, and it's from Germany. German independent developers. Now, of course, the production values are totally modern, so you're not going to go back to the old school production values.
Yep.
But this game, and they talked about this on WASD a couple of weeks ago. But
I've heard a little bit about this.
It's no nonsense, and there's no classes.
Exactly, it's just distilled down. Yeah,
it's basically like Unreal Tournament with fancier graphics. I mean, you know, some of the aesthetics even look like Halo. Some of the vehicles look like Halo, but
totally.
But see, frag like
it's 1999.
So I think that some people are craving the old school gameplay with the brand new, you know, like aesthetics and some of the new, you know, I guess some of the new mechanics, but mainly the old, just fast paced gameplay without the microtransactions, without the you know, all the leveling and all that stuff. Like, you've leveled up, now you can get these new guns and all that kind of thing. Yeah. So I think we're going to go back to it with some games, but it's going to be a lot of indie games. Unreal Tournament's probably going to return to it. I don't expect that there'll be like unlocking weapons. You'll just go and you'll play and you'll have fun, and you won't have to go and unlock a bunch of stuff to compete with everybody else. But there's games out there. I
don't know. I mean, I think the platform is interesting enough that it's got a lot of options, and there's a lot of in between, you know, in all these different stages.
Yeah, that's the thing about PC gaming. Is you have so many options, guys. There's so many games out there. It's not like we're locked to anything, and there's a ton of indie games that you might not have even heard of, like Xonotic. I played the hell out of that game for a little while. It's similar to Quake. I play a lot of Quake Live as well, and then Kane kills everybody at Quake Live.
But that's what I'm saying, right? Is that that's
those
the
games
great
are there.
that's
They're
the great thing about the
playing.
platform compared to console. You've got still all these games, right?
Yeah.
So you can go everything from Quake Live. You could still kick in Unreal Tournament. You could jump into Titanfall. You could play Team Fortress.
Yeah.
You know, you could go into, you know, just about anything you want. It's entirely
The last game that I streamed was Doom 2.
Yeah.
You know, but of course with now a new patch for OpenGL.
Yeah, right.
So I want that OpenGL, you know, but it's Doom 2. It still holds up to this day. So you guys can go back and play all those old games. There are so many old games that a lot of people have missed.
Oh yeah.
You know
I totally.
mean?
I think that's the coolest thing about PC gaming, right? Is that, you know, especially just from even that you can go back and you've got people that go back and hack the games, right? And you know, and upgrade them in interesting ways or add more dynamics in terms of engines or levels and all kinds of stuff. So I think it's cool.
Yeah, I guess Syndicate is pretty much dead. I wish it wasn't dead, but there's that new one, Nixius. I don't know what it's called. Dual socket CPU motherboard? Question. I don't know what that means. So, like, what socket would you like to be dual? Would you like?
Go check out our video on the Z9.
Yeah,
it's really good.
There are dual sockets, but you have to buy Xeons. I mean,
yeah, that's pretty much an architectural thing right now. Intel pretty much is limiting multiple processor-based implementations to generally C-series space chipsets. So that's going to be in the workstation demographic. So some of you guys might be looking for like a dual socket board based like off of like X79 or some other kind of mainstream chipset or enthusiast-based chipset. There are definitely available, but you have to look at like the workstation series board. So like Wendell noted, you can check boards out like the Z9 and things like that.
Okay, so we got a message here from General Kitty. He says, might we see eSATA-powered ports on future boards?
I don't think so. I mean, we actually did powered eSATA on boards for quite a number of generations, and it's just the demand wasn't there as much. I mean, right now we're really only keeping eSATA predominantly on the WS platform, where we saw people that were utilizing it for external, like Sans Digital enclosures and things along those lines. But amongst the normal consumer base, really the trend is that USB is really the king right now. For people that are looking for devices, pretty much everything is USB 2 or USB 3. And that kind of those more esoteric connections or specialized connections, WS is still keeping. WS still has 1394 legacy FireWire because there's still content creators out there that utilize 1394. But if you really need eSATA, you can drop in, of course, a PCIe expansion card. But as far as putting it on boards as opposed to putting something else on a board, at this point, no.
I'm gonna make a recommendation for General Kitty. Rip your hard drive out of whatever enclosure you have that's eSATA and put it into a brand new. Well, when the revision for USB comes out of the USB 3.1, that has a lot of power. Like, you're not going to need to plug things into a wall anymore unless it needs a ton of power, But that's got a lot of power.
But even the powered eSATA spec really is kind of limited. It really only works for very small enclosures. Mm-hmm. So you could actually, if you're talking about power and performance in that same way, generally USB 3 is going to offer you that, and you can get really high performance small form factor USB 3 enclosures from companies like Oyen Digital, and there's other guys out there. So there's definitely a lot of options.
What are your thoughts about Linus's full room water cooling? Have you seen that yet?
I heard about it. Yeah, I've heard about it. I know he's been getting parts in for stuff, but I don't know to what degree, so I can't comment on that. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. Have you seen it yet?
I saw a question.
What do you got?
When will we see M.2 on an AMD platform? I want you to reach behind you under the Kraken box.
What was the question again?
When will we see M.2 on the AMD platform?
I think he's moving for the fact that like Plex Store already offers it.
I see it up there.
On a PCI Express add-in card. Yeah.
Hold on just a minute.
So we have this thing. We're just here.
And there's going to be more of these things coming out very soon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the one thing you want to keep in mind is that, inherently AMD doesn't have this as default kind of part of the chipset specification. So while it's possible, it requires a bit more work, and there's other things like validation and option ROMs and things like that have to get done. But, that's a good alternative. You still, of course, ideally want to make sure that the board that you have has good UEFI support to be able to support those type of devices. But that's going to help for sure.
Okay, here's a good one. When can we expect to see, who's this from? Veron, I don't know. When can we expect to see SATA Express SSDs? And do you know what the price range is going to be?
I can't go that much into detail because technically some of those products are still kind of under design and development from partner companies that we work with. But I think we talked about for Z97, I think you're going to start to see those type of devices come in at the beginning of 2015. So not too far away. You could possibly see that before then, but not too far off. And our own Hyper Express based SSD, which we showed off in I think the Z97 livecast, right?
Right.
That'll be coming up pretty shortly too. So as far as pricing, I don't know the exact pricing on that, but it's going to be fairly reasonable because keep in mind that when you just add your own either M.2 or your own mSATA based SSDs into that and you're good to go. But as far as dedicated, truly designed SATA Express based solutions, they're not too far away.
Is Wendelltron the real Wendell?
Indeed. Lol.
Hello, Sebastian.
All right.
I think I saw one that there was actually a good question that I think saw popped up there. People were asking about the Strix. Our Strix card is going to be coming. So ASUS has recently made like a kind of global launch for a lot of new Strix-based GPUs that are leveraging our DirectCU2 graphics card technology. So you're going to see a lot more of that actually going forward. So definitely make sure to stay tuned to places like Tech Syndicate as they take a look at cards like that. I think actually you guys are going to be taking a look at one of the new Strix cards that's going to be coming pretty soon.
Really? I didn't know about this.
But we're going to be doing a lot more announcements on that. And like I said, if you guys want more information, keep it tuned here to the tech, or you can also make sure to check out the PC DIY website, where it's the moment that we're kind of officially ready to put that information, you'll see it get posted there.
All right. So we got any more questions? Anybody? Wendell, you got anything?
I want a Devil's Canyon VCCN lecture. It sounds suitably technical, but it may be irrelevant.
That's okay.
A little VCCN going on around here?
Yeah, that's not a bad one. Yeah, I got some questions here, but that's a good one. So this is kind of interesting. There's a lot of people out there that kind of put a lot of dependency on software reading applications, so they use like CPU-Z or something like that to look at their voltage.
Right.
But what they don't always realize is that the way that the voltage is being displayed is based off of a pickup, an MSR that's occurring from the fiber. But that's not fully indicative of real voltage, because there's still actually the input voltage that's coming in from the power supply and that's being translated in. That can actually be customized by the motherboard vendor. We can go in and we can adjust that VCCN. The reason why that's important is because if that number is either high or low, when you actually then correlate that with the amount of voltage that's being defined. So let's say you have a VCCN of 1.75 and you define a voltage of 1.2, right? You could actually have a voltage that might be slightly over, but it actually is closer to 1.2. So it might display to you like like 225 or something like that. So VCCN directly correlates to the actual vid that you need for whatever you're pursuing in terms of overclocking. If the number is set higher, you can make it look like your actual voltage is lower. So what I mean by that is, like, if I set, instead of having that 1.75 and I set 1.85,
right,
I could apply a voltage of like 1.15, but when I look at my outward voltage looks like it's 1.2. You get what I mean? So it's neither here nor there. It's not anything good or bad to it. As ASUS, as far as a vendor, we try to be very we try to follow the Intel standardized specification unless there's specific tuning aspects of how the board is lined out, where we want to customize the VCCN specifically to the topology of the motherboard, which we'll definitely do if we need to. Like ROG tends to have a slightly different VCCN rule in terms of the voltage than the Deluxe. So it's something that you as a user shouldn't have to worry about. Like, you shouldn't have to manually go to define your VCCN, but this is actually way more important for reviewers. A lot of reviewers that go out there and tell you, they say one board takes more voltage than another. Half the time they're not even manually setting the same VCCN on both boards that they're comparing it against. So the actual voltage that they're seeing isn't actually,
right,
it's not the same, because they're actually comparing two different voltage sets, even though they've plugged in 1.2 and 1.2 on the same board.
Right.
Unless the VCCNs are matched on both boards, it's technically not. It's not the same.
Right.
Hopefully that answers your question.
I had a quick one for you. It says, "Is there this is from Final Forger again? Is there a dedicated section somewhere where we can give feedback to ASUS about either hardware or software?"
Yeah, the PC DIY website. It's the best way to get a hold of me.
PCDIY.asus.com.
That's correct. Yeah.
PCDIY. And where can you get the T-shirts? Someone else asked that in the questions.
So these T-shirts, actually, we sometimes give these away, but I'll be launching actually kind of a cool campaign on the PCDI website pretty shortly. It'll be kind of like our Hall of Fame project, and we're going to actually have limited edition clothing that'll be exclusive to subscribers and viewers of the website. I won't be giving away at events or any other places. They'll be made in extremely limited batches with some really awesome customized kind of artwork and some stuff like that. So if you guys are interested in picking up some really cool kind of like swag or stuff like that, make sure to check out the site.
We need a Tech Syndicate one that says DIY somewhere on it.
Yeah, you guys are going to hook up. I'll make sure and get you guys hooked up. So
get that going on.
Yeah, no worries there. But I'm also planning to intermittently post, I think at any time we have a big chipset launch or we have a big product launch, I think I might do like a user voice poll page for that product. So let's say for like Z97, let me be like next month, I'll put a dedicated page which would be, hey, give me your guys' feedback specifically on any Z97 products. And as you guys circulate that throughout the community, if anybody wants to go leave specific feedback to that, they can do that. But as always, you can just go to the site and either you can email me or you can drop commentary there.
So many good questions here on the site. But what do you got here?
So next one I got is from Suzuka, I believe, 12345.
Clever.
So one of their things was Realtek network controller. Nothing but problems with those. That was one of the things they don't like.
Is that
about
a question?
mother-
I mean, was that even a statement? Was like some kind of a...
Well, it's based, remember, off the commentary for the post, right? So it's named something that they don't like, right?
Oh, right.
And then something that they do like, which is Intel network controllers as a standard on every motherboard. And that's kind of something they wanted to see. And I'm interested to find out. I'll definitely respond back to them and get more insight. But, you know, we've been pretty much using Intel NICs now for quite a number of generations, and we've kept even putting them on more entry level boards.
Right. I mean on everything over like $80, right? I mean,
pretty much not that low. I mean,
maybe $100.
Right now it goes all the way down to about the Dash A. So the Dash A will sometimes trend down to about like $125 to about like $135. So that's still pretty aggressive. Below that, it's going to get really, really hard to put an Intel NIC on there just because of the cost totally of the board and the fact that it's a more expensive controller. But I can definitely tell you, we're trying to put it on as much as we possibly can, and we've put it on more boards than any other vendor.
So with Intel NICs, it's basically like, what are you guys out there willing to spend for a motherboard? If you're only willing to spend $80,
then yeah, you're not.
It's not realistic to expect to get an Intel NIC.
Correct. Yeah.
So I mean, but also with Realtek NICs, like you were telling me earlier, a lot of the routers out there on the market are using Realtek controllers.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You've got an Intel NIC on your motherboard, but you're plugging it into a Realtek NIC on the
on a router. Yeah.
So,
the perception that somehow the controller is really, really bad is actually, I think, a really bad opinion. You know, Realtek's gone through an extensive amount of maturing, and they actually make some really great performance, some really solid silicon, and even actually some professional validation equipment that's used by network controller companies is actually based on Realtek switches. So it's not like they have a bad design. We favor the Intel controller because through our analysis and testing, that it has the best throughput, it has the best management options, it saves us a PCI Express lane.
Right.
There's a lot of different reasons why we favor it, but also, you know, I've had very, very good performance and very good functionality. And a lot of this, I think, just comes down to the quality of the driver, the OS environment, other variables, you know, and it just depends on other factors as well.
All right. What else you got?
I think I copied the same question twice, so let me take this one out right here.
I got one for you in the meantime.
Okay.
What are your views? This is from the website here.
Yeah.
From CycleFlight, what are your views on phase change cooling? For example, Novak or other non-conductive immersion fluids that boil at CPU temps.
Interesting. Well, you know, I think from the realistic perspective of a user, right, any type of esoteric cooling, right, any type of exotic cooling is really something I try to be cognizant of and try to kind of keep track of, but at the same time, I kind of put it a little bit out to the kind of left field of my mindset, because if users can't really use something, I'm not as interested in it, because at the end of the day, it's the same reason why, like, I work with some of the best overclockers in the world that do benching on phase change, cascade, liquid helium, liquid nitrogen, right? Yeah. But that's an extremely rarefied air of those people that have access to that and do that, right? I'm interested in, you know, what can I do on a Noctua U12S? Right? You know, what can I do on, you know, a Kraken X61, right? What can I do on the things that you guys are actually buying? That to me is really important to figure out, you know, what's the type of thermal characteristics. Where things get maybe interesting is sometimes when somebody comes up with a new type of design technology that might be accessible to the mass consumer but isn't crazy, right? You know, so there's been a couple of these, you know, where they have sometimes maybe different types of, you know, composition materials that they're using or plating designs. Like, I keep seeing some interesting stuff with like Peltier or like TEC based coolers, and maybe if some companies can fine tune them a little bit more, get them more packaged in, maybe that could be kind of cool, right?
You know, I used to use back in the Tiger Direct days, I used a Chiltech. Remember that? Ultra?
Yeah.
That was a pretty good cooling unit.
Yep.
And
so they just if somebody could take,
they're gone. I don't know where it went.
If somebody could take that type of concept and continue to refine it, improve upon it, possibly, right? But, you know, I think we're seeing that, right? You know, a good example is like what NZXT has done with like the G110, right? Where they took the concept of like closed loop coolers and applied them to GPUs to be able to get even better performance. So,
well, I think you can still buy this thing.
Really? I don't think it's still active. Can you click on it? Yeah, I think that's just the page is still up, man.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you still can't buy it. And I'm pretty sure also the efficiency of that unit is probably
not for today's CPUs.
It wouldn't be that great anymore. Yeah.
Yeah. Back in like the 775 days, though, it was like, hey, this is great.
Yeah. Yeah. But I definitely think, and even at ASUS as a company, we keep track of a lot of those different things just to kind of see where the direction is going and interesting designs.
All right. What else you got?
Okay. What's he saying? It's
which one?
He says it's not really a tech question. I was just trying to see, but I got another one here.
All right. What do you got?
Okay, so this one was, I thought this was a really interesting one. I commented this to you from, I think from Cat, what do you think that is? Catsy?
Catsy, yeah, maybe.
Catsy? Okay. Was, I wish they would make VRMs on motherboards a lot tougher and more heat resistant. Like, to me, that's really surprising because, at least for us, if we go from year to year, we've continually progressed and improved upon the VRM designs. And in my opinion, to a degree, actually, the VRM designs that we're putting are overbuilt in many situations. They're even higher end than what they realistically need to be.
You're going to need something that can withstand 60 or 70 amps. I mean, really.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're just giving you that literal margin. I mean, part of the goal is that we want to give you an outstanding quality part. And if we're going to ask you to pay more for a board, we want to at least enable a class of specification on there that justifies the pricing of that product. But I can tell you for sure, the quality of the componentry from a thermal standpoint, from a reliability standpoint, every single one of those aspects, at least for ASUS. You know, I can't speak for other vendors because definitely some other vendors have done some, let's say, interesting things on VRM designs over the last couple of years, and they've kind of followed suit in some of the other categories, and sometimes they haven't. But definitely they have consistently improved. I can tell you from a reliability, durability, and toughness standpoint, they're the best that they've ever been in terms of the quality of the components. And she also says that what she would like to see in, I guess, modern boards was, I would like to see dual Ethernet ports on more motherboards. I thought that was interesting, you know, to be honest, based on a lot of the market segmentation information that I kind of go out there in the community and collect. Most users don't use dual NICs. I really find that to kind of be a very small subset of the enthusiast category, and then kind of the prosumers that tend to do more professional work, like on the workstation environment, where they want a local NIC for their internet so that they can go ahead and upload or download quickly, but then they can locally file share across like a NAS or another connected system, right? So it makes sense in that.
I mean, teaming's also a nice thing if you have a NAS and you're doing work.
Sure.
You can almost edit straight from the NAS if you're doing that. I mean.
Oh yeah. If you've got a great switch and you've got a great quality NIC, for sure, you got a lot of flexibility. So I think it's a good option, but once again, I think cost is a factor there too.
Teaming, but also 4K or 9K jumbo frames on Ethernet. It's a really convenient way to deal with it is dual NICs, and you can have the higher performance one with like the 9,000 baht jumbo frames. That doesn't outperform teaming, but it's lower CPU utilization, which is good if you're doing productivity from like a SAN or a NAS or something like that.
Winterburns asks if we will ever see DIY tablet motherboards. Or DIY tablet, what do you say? It went away. The DIY tablet motherboards and so on. Tablet motherboards? DIY? I don't.
I would never say never. I mean, we've done some pretty crazy stuff on the tablet side, but you know, the biggest problem with doing anything like kind of DIY in the notebook space or tablet space really comes down to thermals and power. So to be able to customize the item, you'd almost have to overbuild the chassis of the tablet or the notebook. You get what I mean? Because you need to accommodate the thermal headroom that would be needed for the higher CPU that you may potentially put in, right? Or the better graphics card you need to put in. And this is one of the reasons why this is never really kind of super taken off. Not because the technology is not there to do it. It's definitely there to do it. It's just the problem is the complexity of making a part that fits the kind of wants of you guys as a community.
All right, what else we got? A couple more, then we're gonna turn the AC back on because we have to turn the AC off to do this, guys. Not to mention I'm exhausted.
So JJ's got to get on a plane in a vanishingly small number of hours.
But I will definitely make sure for anybody that's posting questions, if you guys continue to post stuff in the forums, you guys know I'll go back in there and I'll answer.
Let me hop on the plane and get on a few of these things.
I'll be hammering stuff out, man. So, you know, if you guys are asking, feel free, like I said, if you guys can always go to the PC.way website. This one I thought was an interesting comment, and I'd love to see feedback from Sir on this, but he comments how motherboard manufacturers entice you into thinking that more expensive is faster. And I'd love to know who he actually is thinking there. Is that us? Because I know in the past, I've specifically made it a point to say that like our Dash A overclocks equally as like
you say that all the time.
Like a Hero or a Tough. You know, I've made it a point to say performance or overclocking is not defined by the price band, that it's the features or the connectivity on the product.
Bells and whistles.
And I've backed that up. If you go look, like even on the PC.way website, I released a whole performance overclocking outline that showed every board from the Z97-A, like all the way up to like the Maximus, you know, board, all showing exactly the same exact overclock with the same level of stability. The main difference comes into play usually in two categories: is the thermal characteristics of the VRM. Might run a little bit more low in terms of the operating temperature. You might have a little bit more headroom, potentially at very high frequencies, maybe a little bit better margin capability or a little bit better stability, but as a whole, it's going to be parity. The difference is going to come in, features, functionality, connectivity, things along those lines. And then different colors. I'm sick of the current colors that are out there. So we're definitely listening to you. I think right now we actually have a really diverse set of colors on our boards right now. I mean, we've got gold, we've got kind of that monolithic color set, we've got the red and black based design, we've got the tough series, but we're definitely paying attention to that. So
you can spray paint your PCB. I mean, it's
you never know what's going to come down the road, but definitely we are paying attention to that for sure.
Do you have anything, Wendell?
I think that sums it up pretty well. I think that something amazing, DIY, awesome stuff coming. And it's really completely insane.
See if you have it.
With that is a good point, because like with the overclocking on the Z87A, because there was a lot of reports on the internet about people having trouble overclocking as good on Z97 as Z87. So we really did a lot of in-depth testing with that, and we've got this amazing 4770K that would hit 4.8, 4.9 on 2 cores, and we totally were able to do that on the Z97A. While other people were reporting that the Z97A couldn't overclock as well as the Z87A. But it turns out that it was just down to the Z97A had an extra option to be a little bit more conservative with the input voltage or something, and then making that more aggressive. It was fine, because like by default in the software it didn't want to up the voltage at all. It was like, oh, I'll click that, and then everything was fine. But if you did it through the UEFI, it was fine. So, but even with the auto-tune software, it also worked fine. So it's really awesome.
I think the last one I saw, my notebook just went off from power.
I was
but I know one of the comment that a lot of people said. Well, we'll see if we got any other there. But there was a comment there. A lot of people were talking about there's not enough fan headers. So once again, I'm wondering what boards you guys are kind of looking at. For us, once again, the Dash A, which I think is a perfect baseline because it's an entry-level board. I'm not talking about like a really high-end board. You can get the Z87 Dash A or the Z97 Dash A, where, like I said, going between about $130 to $140. The 87 came with 5 fan headers that were all 4-pin and PWM and had the fan expert class fan controls. The Z97 had 6, plus it has that true PWM output control, so you can put fan splitters on it. So technically you can have 15 or 20 fan headers, so you got a ton amount of fan headers. Now, other competitors don't have that, so if you're looking at somebody else's board, then that's a reason why to look at our board. But there's also the limitation. You can't put more headers than 6 right now because of a Super I/O controller limit. So like even like on ROG, if we have more, we have to do other things to be able to enable that. And we've definitely looked at that, and I think, guys, in the not too distant future, you're going to see some really interesting stuff from us at being able to even extend fan controller connectivity further. But for anybody right now that's saying, hey, I'm looking at a board and you're at least looking at about $140 and you say there's not enough fan headers, any pretty much one of the Intel boards above a Z97-A or the A itself has, like I said, at least 6 fan headers, and on top of that has the ability to allow you to set the fan header to PWM output. So you can put a fan splitter cable on there, and then all of a sudden you can go from 1 to like 3 or 4 fan headers, and you just power those from the power supply. But they can still be controlled by the UEFI or the software.
Millions of fans.
Yeah.
Literally.
Not millions, but, millions.
ASUS endorses millions. I think the website's broken. Did we break it? I can't load the next page. There's one more question from cell processing that I like to get real quick before we go. He said he posted a question. Make sure there's nothing else interesting on the website. An ASUS Mars 770.
Hold on. Wait, okay, I want to see that question from Rudolph. But what was the question on the 770? Are we ever going to see a Mars 770? Anytime you guys ever ask me a question like that, that's going to be the hardest question to answer. Because there's 2 reasons why. Even if we were making something like that, it's a Mars. So I'm never going to tell you, even if we were making it, because it's such a special type of card for us. So it's a question I know you want to ask, but I couldn't tell you. And then secondary to that, GPUs like that are really, really complex to do. So a lot of time they take a long time in terms of research and development and stuff like that. So that is what it is. But I saw one from Rudolph, unless you saw one.
Scroll up right here.
Oh, you can get to
Rudolph,
that one. No, the one where it's not a tech question.
Where is he?
I just feel like he was...
Oh, no.
He was
the website is dead.
I did it.
Oh, you did it?
Yeah, that was me.
We're going to fix it, and then we're going to finish this video before the battery dies on everything.
A question in the live stream, maybe? Until it's fixed?
Yeah, there we go. How about they want AMD? They want all the fan options on AMD.
That's a good question. But I think, if you look at the boards that we've refreshed on AMD, we've put that on there. The latest, A80X boards for FM2 Plus, they have full Fan Expert 3. They've got all 4-pin PWM fan headers. You have Fan Expert calibration per each header. The new Crossblade Ranger that just came out has pretty much all the latest fan control functionality. So I can't go back and put fan controls on boards that we released, 20 months ago, because there's it's not software and it's not just firmware. There's physical hardware limitations. We actually need to lay out the board differently. We have to have different Super I/O controller possibly. There's different aspects to that. But I can tell you that on any new boards that we keep producing for the AMD platform, we try to keep parity functionality as far as the features and functions that we're producing for the Intel-based chipsets as well.
ROGX 99, can't talk about that. How is baby formed? Slowly.
ROG baby.
Slowly because biology. ASUS SSDs. Are you guys going to make your own SSDs?
We've made the Raider, and we have some possible plans to maybe continue the Raider line based on your guys' feedback. It's actually done really, really well for us. A lot of people liked that type of concept. As far as expanding beyond that, at this point, I would tell you no. We're going to continue to work with our outstanding partners that do storage devices, which we do the validation with for pretty much every company that does SSDs right now. Being the biggest board vendor out there, our main goal is just making sure that whatever SSD you buy works.
Why don't AMD motherboards have PCI Express 3.0?
It's because the CPU doesn't have official PCI Gen 3 support enabled into it. Even the one-off Sabertooth 990FX Gen 3 board that we enabled was a limited edition, and we had to do some very extensive, let's say, special sauce design implementations to be able to try to coax the Gen 3 functionality out of the CPU. But technically, AMD doesn't do interoperability and validation and hasn't certified the CPU for Gen 3 enablement. So as such, you technically can't get a FX-based Gen 3, and that's why the APUs currently are the only ones that enable Gen 3, because AMD validated the PCI lanes for Gen 3 support.
Do a giveaway. Great idea. We're going to give
doing
away,
one right now.
Yeah, right now. An X99 Deluxe motherboard can be yours, and all you have to do is go over to our website. Actually, if you look at the description of the video that you're watching right now, you'll see a link that says X99 Deluxe Contest. Just click on that, and you guys can go over and win this freaking motherboard.
Yeah,
do it, man.
Oh my gosh, I was about to say stuff that I wasn't supposed to. Oh wait, you're reloading right now? But I saw somebody had a question on ROG mouses. Very shortly, some of you guys might have seen the one I'm using right here. This is not an ROG mouse, but I can't tell you too much more out of that. Well, I can't tell you.
What is that?
This one's actually, this one's an upcoming model. This is the Strix.
Someone was asking about the Strix.
Yeah, but we've got a lot of Strix. We got Strix, a lot of different Strix items coming out, not just mice. But the ROG Gladius is going to be coming very soon. I can tell you, I've had a chance of working with our development team since we kicked off that mouse. It is awesome. It is a very, very, very cool mouse. A lot of you guys, if you're looking for possibly a new mouse, keep it tuned. I'm sure, you guys like checking out mice. Maybe, hopefully, Raja and the team will get you sent out one once we release it, because it's pretty awesome.
All right, let's see if the website is back. Yes, it's back. Cell processing. Why are 5K and 10K caps important? That's a good question. As I understand it, 2K caps at normal op temps still gives really long life. 10x that per 10C drop from. You can read it all there.
Yep. Pretty much what it just comes down to is it's just giving you a part with more headroom. It's purely what that is. It's not that it's a question that it's important relative to you as a user, right? So that's the way that we look at it. An example is that, one, you never know the ambient environment that things are going to go into. So, we have, like right now,
the camera died.
With that camera?
Yeah, but we'll end it this way.
Okay, so we're fading out, guys, here, and we're going to continue to answer this question. But overall, from a capacitor standpoint, it's really just about giving you a part that has much better performance in variable environments. Like those 10K rated capacitors, it's not just the rated operating lifespan, but that capacitor actually generally has higher capacitance, which means the power output is higher, as well as also that the lifespan under different temperatures, such as significantly higher temperatures as well as significantly lower temperatures, is improved. And the reason why that's important is, of course, is that generally on the boards that we've incorporated, let's say 5K or even 10K rated capacitors, that's been done because on those boards there's a higher probability to have hotter temperatures as a whole, either whether it's from overclocking or multiple GPUs being installed on the board. Plus, like I said, you've got varying ambient conditions. Like in California, historically it wouldn't get as hot as it gets over here, and right now it's pretty toasty. But you got Texas to Alaska, and you got a lot of different places. It's just because we went through the time warp, man. We're
oh, there we go. Look at that wrist.
That's my over the top wrist right there.
The wrist that couldn't be missed. I don't know. If he gets angry, it becomes a fist and then hits you in the eye. I don't know what that was. So we have a new battery now, but that's doesn't mean
let's see if they picked it up. Let's see. Are we back, guys?
There goes the battery.
All right,
more
so
ASUS phones.
Let's just take 2 last ones and we'll wrap it up.
Are there going to be any more ASUS phones?
For sure. Yeah, we're definitely going to be doing more phones. I think right now we just recently launched, and of course in the US, if you guys don't know, we partnered with AT&T, and we've got the Pad Phone X's finally available. So as things continue to progress there, I guarantee you guys are going to see more phones coming out from us under the Zen Phone or Pad Phone or all that stuff. That's, like I said, it's under our other division. That's under our SBD division. But we have a really awesome team. And I'll tell you a cool fact for you guys. The guy that's actually helping to run our new handset division for a while actually was the original director for the ROG division. So a lot of a lot of the interesting stuff that I think you've been starting to see, like on pad phones and stuff like that. I think that innovation that somebody had from ROG, I think it's really awesome to have him in the wheelhouse of the mobile space. So I think that's pretty cool.
Is any other questions worth answering yet? And the website is being slow. Everyone wants to know about AMD motherboards.
Oh, were we able to reload that page? The one with the one I was looking at. Go back.
Page 1 here.
I
think we killed the website again. We sent so many people to the website at the same time.
It's fine.
Is ASUS Illuminati ever going to make another video?
Oh, did somebody ask that?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, okay. Yeah. No. So guys, okay. So this was when I was actually still doing my general technical marketing role. I thought it was a really great way to engage with you guys, but I've pretty much shifted to doing that same content on our PC DIY YouTube channel. So if you guys don't know about that, you guys can visit PC DIY YouTube. ASUS, and that's where I do stuff. So you guys
bring it up here so they can all see it.
Yeah, that is the new channel. So that pretty much replaces my previous channel that I was working on.
There it is.
Yeah, and I usually do. I haven't done it back, but I'm be kicking it back off again. I've got the Q&A section that I do. So if you guys ever have questions, comments, feedback stuff, you can do it there, and I'll answer that.
All right. People want to know about ASUS cases, and I think that's
not going to happen. Not going to happen.
Not happen.
That's going to happen.
Yeah. ASUS desks.
ASUS desks? Possibly. I had somebody ask us about that, and actually I thought, I want to know your take. I mean, Leanne Lee did that awesome, chassis desk, right? Which I think is, I'm absolutely in love with that. I think that's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And I remember I talked to them when they actually were in the concept stage, and they sent me some of the pictures, and I was like, dude, this is so cool. But I want to see a company make like real furniture for like DIY users. You know what I mean? Like, I want them to like make like a cutout, because like right now you see like sometimes these things and people stuff the chassis inside there, and it's not designed for any type of airflow,
right?
And it's just like it's a hole. You know what I mean?
It's kind of ugly.
It's It's like I want to see somebody like design it with like threaded cable management options, right? So that like you can run your cables actually through the chassis. I want to see somebody make like really cool performance computer desks.
But what will people pay? Like what's going to be the price point that people are willing to pay for something like that? Because I mean, the Lee and Lee desks are awesome.
Yeah,
but they're like
that's really specialized because that's also you're building into. But you get what I mean? Like I'm okay. This can just be a desk, but if it's like the smart people that know what's up with it, right? This is like the computer power.
How about a desk with hubs and stuff?
That's all right, but they still have to be really good hubs. I don't want no cheap hubs.
Right.
Yeah.
High quality stuff,
Yeah. But I want to see that, because like how many of us? I want to know how many of you guys are using freaking some desk that you bought from IKEA or Office Max, or you're using a table.
Yeah. That's what happened to me. I was
you know what I mean?
Because I love like nice wooden furniture and all that stuff. So I went out and bought like a teak dining room table, and that is my computer desk.
Exactly, because you wanted probably something sturdy. Yeah, exactly. You wanted something that was really nice quality, and everything else was like really subpar, right?
Yeah, it's like all particle board.
But it's not necessarily a real like super functional desk, right?
Yeah. Well, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get together with a bunch of guys. We're going to get a bunch of reclaimed wood, and we are building desks and shelves specifically for our needs, like the exact desk I want.
That's
because
awesome.
I can't find what I want, so I'm like,
Yeah.
screw it. Let's just get some guys together and head out into a barn with a bunch of old wood and put it together and sand it down and make it perfect.
Yeah, no, oh my gosh, dude, I wish I could be there. Dude, maybe you'll tell me and maybe I'll fly out and I'll see you over there.
It'd make some awesome desks.
Yeah. I think I like that idea. That should
I mean, it's
be
gonna be. I'm pretty minimalistic, but the shelves are.
Oh yeah,
the
no,
big
I'm with
thing,
you.
yeah.
You like Scandinavian like design?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
It'd be like IKEA, except not particle board.
Totally.
Come to Australia in 2015.
All right, 15 seconds for last question. Go. Somebody's got to post a good question.
Australia, maybe. I don't know. It's pretty hot down there. I'll meet you in New Zealand. Anybody else? IKEA.
For IPS 4K G-Sync, not going to happen I think, time soon, right? We just released the ROG Swift. It's going to be launching literally, actually, I think, next week, formally in the e-tail channel. So that's where our focus is right now.
Windows, any last questions?
I do not. I think we covered them all.
Yeah. All right. I think it's time to go home and go to sleep. You got to get on a plane like in a few hours, so you got to pack up and get ready to go. So, everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to enter the contest and stay tuned for all kinds of cool stuff on future secrets.
Yeah, definitely. Make sure, though, to go to the forum, fill out the commentary. I'll be answering questions there. And if you don't get your question answered there, make sure to hit up pcdiy.asus.com, and I'll be more than happy to answer your question there.
All right, you guys are awesome. We will see you soon. I have to click on the stop button, I guess.
Thanks so much.
It's not, and I'm going to click the stop right now.
Toodles.